Hello everybody, my name's James, and for the benefit of those listening back to the audio, you're listening to Ask James, my regular YouTube live stream where I welcome questions from the YouTube community. And as we head towards the Friday evening game week 9 deadline, it is a very early Ask James live stream at 9:30 a.m. And with that in mind, I intend only to do 45 minutes today to give the audio listeners a chance to listen back to the full podcast ahead of the deadline this evening. I've got no major announcements, so we'll get straight into the questions, which as normal will be answered in order of submission. Jason says, morning James, do you think Mavididi will start tonight? If the Jota injury isn't too bad, I was going to bench him for Mavididi. I think Fatawu will play, and there is a suspicion that Mavididi and Fatawu won't play together, but if they were going to, it's probably more in a fixture like this. I'm going to say probably yes. I wouldn't say like Fatawu's like 100%, by the way. It's not suggesting anyone goes there and buys him. You're probably all right. I guess it's probably sort of circa 75%ish or so. But it's definitely not a lock. FPL Don says, morning James, really struggling to decide whether to go 2 premium mids with Palmer and Salah, or 3 of Saka, Palmer and Foden/Son. No Haaland. I'd recommend, if you haven't done, listening back to the podcast me and Suj did on Tuesday, which was specifically about premium midfielders. On that, we speak about the problem if you only have one, i.e. Palmer, you cut yourself off with the others. If you have 2, you can keep like a Palmer longer term and just keep flipping between another one. If you have 3, then you have the flexibility at any point to go, I'm going to drop this one down to a 7 million midfielder and get this forward up to a different price range if you're on a 5.5 up to like Isak later on or something. So I like having more than one. That's been kind of my strategy all season long, and I've been pretty clear on that. With the 3, I guess it depends how well they do, doesn't it? I don't see me moving towards a 3rd, personally. So I think I can only answer it in that way, Don. James Wilson says, hey, James, need to bench one of Rodgers, Cunha or Jimenez. Would love your thoughts. I'll be with you behind the sofa watching Haaland this week. Good luck. Won't be behind any sofa, mate. I'll be out with my boy somewhere, I should imagine, mate. My captain will be playing at the same time. He won't be early in Haaland. So we'll be here, just go and enjoy the day. And for me, it's always about, right, you make the decision and the outcome will be what it'll be. And I expect him to go off this weekend. And there's no bit of me that thinks, oh, Haaland's going to blank this weekend. So it's just, okay, let's see how bad the damage is this 1 week, mate. So in terms of your question, that's a really tough one. Rodgers, because of fixture, I'd want to play, but I don't like benching players like that. Cunha and Jimenez. You're not going to like this answer. I've already put my predictions in place for our Patreon podcast later today, and I'm backing neither Wolves or Fulham to score this week, so that also makes this answer particularly difficult. I think Jimenez is on the streak that I would want to play him at the moment. Would be more my take, I think. Yeah, that's rough. I'd go Rodgers because the fixture. Would never be comfortable benching a player like a Jimenez or a Cunha. I think Jimenez form means it's probably him at the moment. Caddy says, good morning, James. Free transfers this week. Pretty set on bringing in 8 Norrie for Trent and Palmer for Diaz. Only dilemma then is whether I bring in Son or Foden for Saka or just leave in Saka. Now, I have to be careful here with this question because I've got a very similar dilemma, and I'm sorry, this is going to be a really shit answer, but I can only answer it truthfully. I haven't quite decided what I'm doing yet. So there's a couple of factors in play here. And Foden's a possibility for me as well. I think if I go Foden, there's every chance to sell him next week. He's literally in for 1 week. Sell him. I wouldn't put the armband on him. So that doesn't feel worthwhile. So that's pretty unlikely. But should Pep say today, do you know what? There's a Kevin De Bruyne setback. It might tempt me. So I don't want to rule it out. On Sonny, I don't fancy him this weekend. Genuinely. Playing against the back 5, I'm not keen on him. But I am potentially quite keen on him on the 2 home games afterwards against Villa, and I would probably captain him against Ipswich under my circumstance in game week 11. So, and I also know that even if Son was to blank this week, I think the investment for him with the 2 home games afterwards will continue to come. Whereas for Saka, even if he does play, and I think he probably will, by the way, and he returns, then I don't think people go, oh shit, it's Newcastle away, Chelsea away, I'm going to rush back to him. So I see that continuing to flip. However, the other side of the coin is, it then puts me on 3 Tottenham heading to Man City in game week 12. I likely want to get in a position, therefore, where I don't make any transfers between now and then. That would be a possibility based on how I set up. But I will want to then go back from Solanke to Havertz or Son to Saka. Now, one plus there is that gives me that choice when I get to game week 12 of what to do. It doesn't allow me much. If I make the transfer, it doesn't allow me a lot of flexibility should I pick up an injury this week. It's possibly going to, and I need to double check on that today. Also, it's just making sure I'm just happy to take the losses on Saka and trust that he's a good enough asset that people will want to go and reinvest in him once it hits game week 12. But I'm also conscious that those who don't have Palmer will buy Palmer in 12, although as you can see, there's a lot more making that move this week. And I think if you've got Saka and you can buy Palmer this week, I'll do it, by the way. So I can't truly answer the question, Caddy, because I haven't made my own decision up yet. My instinct is that I probably will do it. Probably will go Saka to Son, but I don't want to say that's the right answer because I'm in a similar dilemma and I haven't truly decided as yet. What I probably need today is Mikel Arteta to say something like, yeah, Saka's got no chance on Sunday, in which case then I know he's playing, don't I? You're not going to get any Arteta kind of confirmation today. There's news that went round, isn't there? Was Sam C from the United stand said that Saka had been back in training on Wednesday. And I think that's pretty reliable. So I think by the way, Bukayo Saka will play and will start on Sunday for Arsenal as it stands. Ricky Young says, morning, need a striker to cover until game week 14, where I plan to move to Watkins. Fancy a rogue punt on Haaland, as he has some brilliant fixtures until then. Do you think this is worth a go or silly move? I think you already explained it, Ricky. It's a bit punty. I think he's looked quite good since he's come back. He's not a player that's completely out of my thinking, I must say. Sort of once I hit maybe game, if I hit a forward injury problem in game week 11 specifically, I could definitely see me looking at him for Leicester at home, Ipswich away, and Everton at home. Yeah, I don't mind it. I think over a similar period, I think Vissel will be back in the Brentford team tomorrow. That's a temptation, and obviously puts more money in the bank. But then you're going to want to hold that money from Vissel to Watkins. That might be quite challenging. So I don't know what the impact of that is on you. Yeah, I don't mind it as a punt. It's highly likely I'm buying Garnacho this week, and I might be benching him. It's part of moving money about. So yeah, I'm interested in investing in them. And I think the big change for me is Garnacho going back on the left last weekend. So it might just be I'm in a position where what I've got this week is really strong, and I want to play Rodgers over Garnacho this week. Then I'm set to have Garnacho playing in forthcoming weeks for me. That would be the thinking at the moment. Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. You explained it, Ricky. It's a punt, isn't it? Michael Radley says, all right, mate, start Nuri or Mikalenko, and would you put the one that misses out ahead of Semenyo in the benching order in case Saka doesn't play? Just for clarity, Michael, I'd play Semenyo over both of them. You're probably going to get the answer based on what I'd already said about Jimenez Cunha. I think Everton might keep a clean sheet this weekend. I think they might win again. So on that basis, I'm going to say Mikalenko. Bad Company says, if you could choose a season from any other club's history to experience with Tottenham Hotspur, which season would it be and for what reasons? It's a few that come to mind. I've been to treble seasons, aren't they? But I've two. I'm trying to think from a Tottenham experience, like Barcelona 10-11. But I think the drama of the journey at the end would mean Manchester United's treble season, actually, 98-99. That with the FA Cup semi-final with Arsenal, the drama of that, what an incredible game that was. The comeback in the Champions League semi-final at Juventus. And then that 10-day period of winning the league on the final day of the season, the FA Cup final win against Newcastle, and then 1-0 down the Champions League final and win it. with a minute to go. I think it's that, isn't it? For the drama of a season, I get, like the Aguero moment and stuff like that, but for the drama for an end of a season period, yeah, it's got to be that, I think. So, yeah, I just think, in terms of points though, what did they finish on, like 79 or something? Versus, Liverpool finishing second in what, 18, I think 2018 on what, 97 points. But I think it's that. For the drama at the end of the season, I think it's the Manchester United 98-99 season, I think. Colin Johnson says, morning, James. Hope you. Probably, yeah, hope you. Options, hold Saka, do Havertz to Wood, Pedro to Raul Jimenez, or looking at Saka to Salah, Havertz to Raul, Pedro to Wood, ESR to Dibbling/Winks. I mean, why that's a Dibbling/Winks, I'd have no idea. Just Dibbling. I get the fixtures rough this week, but yeah, Dibbling over Harry Winks, quite clear. I mean, there's a lot going on then, Colin. Are those transfers at the end all free transfers? And I mean, the more you make, the better it looks, I guess. I've been quite keen on people selling João Pedro. I've been very clear on that. The moving of the Arsenal players is fine, but do you want back from game week 12, and what's the impact of that? Maybe you go, I'm going out without long term. Maybe you have nice routes to go back, but it looks like you're flipping prices around. You're not going to go Salah to Saka in 12. Let's put it that way, right? But on the face of it, that sounds fine. The end bit with all those transfers, Colin, is going to give you the biggest gain, but just check your routes back. Joel Stockdale says, morning, James. Thinking of moving Saka to one of Garnacho, Son, or Kulusevski. Thoughts? Well, I might be buying Garnacho and Son this week. I still think Johnson over Kulusevski, by the way. I know Decky was great last week, and he has been really good this season. But from a fantasy perspective, still Johnson over Kulusevski. You might not be able to afford that, admittedly. Although you're saying one of Garnacho's Son or Kulusevski, so you can. I mean, the sensible answer here is Son, isn't it? It's the one with the explosiveness, much more expensive, holds at a similar value. You can flip that back to Saka in game week 12. It's kind of very much in my thoughts, as I already explained. So I think Sonny, mate. Jason McDonald says, hi, James. Best to you and the family. Mate, talk me out of going Saka and Diaz to Kulusevski and Garnacho at the expense of ignoring Sonny. I have Big Dom already. No, I won't, mate. No. It's not about this week. I generally don't think it's a good fixture for Heung-min Son this weekend. But I think the next two home games probably really are. So I'm not. As per Joel's question as well, Jason, I'm not going to talk you out. I am going to talk you out of it. Yeah, I would go Sonny. Ethan says, morning, James. Is Son a sell now after Mikey Moore's performance last night? Dear. The patrons will know how I've been eulogising about Mikey Moore for the last few months, and I'm very pleased that people got to saw that breathtaking little period at the start of the second half where he lifted the whole stadium, and he decided to take on the opposition at will, and it was really exciting for a good sort of 15-20 minute spell. I was amused by James Maddison's comment by saying for that 20 minutes I thought we had Neymar playing left wing. It wasn't quite that. But the bravery of this 17-year-old lad, he's an incredible talent. We're very lucky to have him. Feet on the ground, and I think he is at the moment. But he's certainly at the perspective now, at the point, and I've already said this, that the Spurs fans would rather that Moore played over Werner now. But Wilson Odobert came on as a late substitute last night as well. So, Odobert will go back in the pecking order ahead of Mikey Moore at the moment. But we certainly expect Mikey to continue playing in Europe. We've put ourselves in a good position winning the first 3 games. And that's nice, just kind of dip him in for a game every couple of weeks or so. That kind of feels right at the moment. I mean, if you can continue to show that bravery that he showed in that 20-minute spell, I mean, the crowd are already in love with him. So, but Sonny's not a sell because of Mikey Moore. And by the way, if anyone is concerned about Sonny not playing last night, it's just a full rest. Just a full rest. Paul Morgan says, Russell Martin is stubborn. Tomorrow we eat. I mean, maybe tomorrow I starve, Paul. Murphy says, hi, James. Currently stuck with Diaz and Saka with 3 free transfers and 0 in the bank. Do you prefer Diaz down to a Johnson/Garnacho/McNeil and Saka to Palmer or Saka to Foden? I would just go Palmer now, personally, yeah. I think Chelsea do well this weekend. I very much recommend yesterday's Clash of Correspondence for a listen back. That's Chelsea versus Newcastle with Gary Mantle and Simon Bibby. It was a really good pod, I think. Mainly because of them two, not because of me. So yeah, I'd be going Palmer, and then the downgrade. If it's no Tottenham offence, then yeah, preference is Johnson, I think. Otherwise, yeah, there's a strong possibility I'm going to go on Garnacho today. Algot says, morning from Sweden. Who would you bench from Trent, Mikalenko and Collins this week? Collins' whole potential, isn't it? Actually, ironically, from set plays, perhaps Ipswich got a few defensive problems. That's been well documented. I'd not bench Trent. Just wouldn't. My anticipation on Arsenal-Liverpool as well is that it'll be quite low scoring. That's my anticipation. I can visualise the game being 0-0 or 1-1. And in 0-0, that works for Trent. And he equalised in a 1-1 at the Etihad at a similar point of the season last year. So I know his capability. I wouldn't be benching a Trent for players like that, personally. So then it's a choice of Mikalenko, Collins. I'm not backing Brentford for a clean sheet this week, but I'm backing Everton for one. I think Brentford are quite open. But doesn't on the fixture, that doesn't feel right. Like if you looked at probability, you're going to find Brentford higher than Everton. So probability-wise, I think the correct answer here is Mikalenko. My own opinion would be bench Collins. I wouldn't be benching Collins. Now, from that, I'd bench Mikalenko. On the fixture, I'd just go with my opinion here might be wrong and go with the probability. John Sully says, hello, James. Would you play Colwell or Nuri? I mean, I wouldn't be too high on Chelsea keeping a clean sheet, despite the fact I think they'll do well this weekend. No expectation really on Nuri versus Brighton, but it's the more offensive player. They could stick with a back three again. That's a possibility. And he obviously can drifts from left back anyway, even if it's a back four. Colwell's a kind of dead boring pick, isn't it? I'd play Nori, I think. John also says, thoughts on Haaland triple captaincy. So here's what I would say. I had a conversation with a few patrons on Monday, and one of them has strongly been considering triple captain Haaland. And my advice on Monday was, you will know. You will know after Sparta Prague whether you want to do it or not. And I've seen some people were like, I might not even captain him, which is okay. Today I'm going to triple captain him based on, a mad backheel goal against mid-air against Sparta Prague. I wouldn't have been flip-flopping like that, personally. But it said that people would know. Now, if you don't know, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. There will be other opportunities. Maybe less double game weeks. Maybe City themselves might not even have a double game week later in the season. That's not that improbable, right? But there's other players who will. And there'll also be other single game week opportunities, definitely, later in the season as well. In terms of Haaland single game week fixture, this is probably it. But if anybody is sitting there at this moment and saying, I'm not sure, I think it's a no, personally. I think it's a no, personal opinion, because I think Southampton will go a back five, and I do think they'll get smashed, but I do think we should factor in a little bit that Southampton's last away game was Arsenal. And in terms of prepping for that stylistically, they've had some really good preparation very recently. Now, Arsenal don't have a Haaland. No one does, right? And I do think City will probably get about 4 tomorrow, personally. But for an hour there, Southampton actually kept Arsenal relatively quiet. Then the worst thing Southampton did was score. It kind of pissed off the beast a little bit, and then Arsenal overwhelmed them. And that sort of thing could also happen tomorrow. City have conceded first. Well, they've been behind in every home game, haven't they, I think? Maybe? I might have that wrong. If that feels like it's correct. Ipswich, Arsenal and Brentford, yeah, they have conceded first in all of them. Not that that's relevant to Arsenal as well, because actually, in a weird way, you probably want City to concede, so they go for it earlier and faster, arguably. Yeah, look, in terms of projection tomorrow, I'd probably put in Haaland at over 2 goals. tomorrow. I think though what I would say is those who are sitting there right now like, yeah, I'm doing it, crack on, do it. I'm quite happy to say, yeah, go for it. Particularly if you haven't used another chip. That's relevant as well. I think like if you've already used a bench boost, like say I have, for me it's a no, I think. Obviously don't own him, but if I did, I wouldn't be doing it because I already used the bench boost. And I don't think I would either personally, even if I hadn't. But those who feel strong about doing it, I'm not going to talk you out of it. I'm sure he'll do well this weekend. I think for those who are in doubt, it's a no. And obviously just stick the armband on him. I don't think personally, if you own him, I don't think there's any debate about captaining him. And there are some other good options, but no, I captain Haaland. Sean says, hi James, Palmer or Son for the next 3? Leaning Palmer off the COTC. My word, it's tight though. There you go, there's a little bit of influence of COTC. And we talk about Palmer right from the start of that podcast, by the way. Are you asking about the next 3 because you want to move maybe Son to Palmer in game week 12? So you're factoring in that's possibly another extra transfer. What's the relevance on captaincy? So if you have Haaland, it's probably no relevance. But you might want to factor that in because I think Son is probably on paper the best alternative to Haaland in game week 11. Palmer might be your best alternative to Haaland this week, for example, as well. Yes, it is tight. I think probably Sonny outscores him over the next 3. But I don't know if that's worthwhile not just getting into Palmer because people are just going to keep going there, I think, irrespective of what he does now over the next couple. So I think if the opportunity there, honestly, is just to put Palmer in, I would. The other factor is, Sean, as per what I've already said, I think Palmer much better than Son for this weekend. Barry Johnson says, morning James, I've somehow still got Eze in my team. I'm not going to tell you to sell him before he's playing my team, mate. I'm wildcarding in 12 and doing Watkins to Larson next week. Do I hold this week and go premium next, or cut my losses and go to Brennan Johnson this week? Oh, and they're playing each other as well. As per the Clayton and James show on Wednesday, and we spoke about Eze quite a bit, yeah, I think there's alarm in his performance on Monday. But I'm sitting here going, I don't want to tell you to sell him before he plays my team, mate. And the one thing you do know about playing my team is there will be opportunities and he is their best player. I'd probably leave that this week personally, and then, yeah, keep your option open to then go to Johnson next week or the premium as you referred to, Barry. Luke Clark says, hi James, any news on Son as you're the Spurs expert? You're taking the piss, mate. Says, I know it was mentioned he would be left out yesterday as planned. Yeah, I mean, that's it, Luke. There's no concern. Absolutely none. You know, he looked sharper than I think expected last weekend against West Ham. Ange said, look, the plan was just to leave him out of this one. Take no risk, you know, not overload him. Tight hamstring, right? Not overload him, not risk that. 65 minutes last week. I imagine it won't be 90 this week, by the way. Probably might be similar, 70, 75 again, quite possibly. So no, as far as we're aware, Luke, I've got no intel. As far as we're aware, there is no issue and he'll start on Sunday. Ross Johnson says, morning James, what do you think about playing the bench boost chip to make up for hits? Planning on making 4 changes, mean a hit. The bench boost would negate the hit points. Thoughts? I think that's wasting the chip by the sounds of it, mate. Be interested to see what that bench looks like this week. If it's fallen really nicely for you, but I always look at it. It's always the same formula for me. I look at a bench. Do I think it's capable of getting the 16 points? And why 16 points? Because if they all played in the double and they all did nothing, 2 times 8 is 16 points. So that's the base target that I would always aim for. So look at that. But also if you're taking a hit that is specifically about the bench, and if it's, if you're flipping Saka to Son, for example, then there's no relevance to the bench. But if you're doing something that impacts that bench as part of your hit, I'd want to target 20 points. Now, Ross, if you're truly looking at your bench, you're like, I think it gets 20 points this week. You crack on, mate. You do it. Dukey Frost says, morning, James. I'm on free hit this week. Can you give me your 3 best forward picks to play and goalkeeper for game week 9? Currently on Haaland, Visser, Wood and Pickford. Any other free hit advice? Yeah, I'd go Jackson over Wood, probably, if you're asking for the best three. Wood's in great form. Decent fixture. I expect that to be low scoring tonight as well. So I would go Jackson over Wood. Obviously, if the money's tight, then Wood is a reasonable pick. And yes, to be honest, Pickford was the goalkeeper that came to mind, actually, as well. Alternatives. Verbruggen, maybe, as an alternative. I don't mind. I'm trying to think of what I've got backed for clean sheets this week. It's Brighton, Everton, and there's another one. I'm just looking at the fixtures, trying to remember who else I've backed for a clean sheet this week. I can't remember. Oh, City, obviously. Not Edison. So yeah, Pickford or Verbruggen for me. So if you were thinking Pickford, then yeah, I'd just go with that, Juki. Rhino says, morning, do you think Pep will stick to his word about cut rotation? Or would his ego take over, feel like he owes you a beating in his mind? No, he doesn't, mate, because they won at our place in May, mate, and they essentially won the title in that game. So that killed all the curse talk and all that stuff. So no, I think he will be true to his word, actually. I don't think that doesn't mean, for example, like Grealish is ruled out this week, right? So if Grealish is back available by Tuesday, then I think, Grealish starts at Tottenham on Wednesday. They've also got a lot of players back fit, arguably. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, say, it's still Diaz and Stones tomorrow and then Akanji plays on Wednesday. He's not going to rock up with, like, an under-21 team. But I think there will be a relevance based on the team he wants to play this week and then the team he wants to play at Bournemouth next week. Like, anybody who he deems he wants to start in both of them, like a Haaland. No, I don't think Haaland will play on Wednesday. I think there's a possibility that he wouldn't even travel, actually. So, no, I think he will be true. That's what he said. So, I think for him, it's probably too much of a narrative to go against it. I'm sure the fact that it's Tottenham away rather than Watford at home will mean he gives a little bit of consciousness to that selection and he will want to win rather than just go out, because he always does. But no, I think he probably will be largely true to the word. And I don't think, let me put it this way, I don't think any City player will start tomorrow, Wednesday and next Saturday. So yeah, I think he'll rotate, mate. Wyatt says, hello, good morning, everyone. Billy Taylor says, Wagwan J Lings. Isn't that Jesse Lingard, isn't it? Just a quick thank you to say that I listen to a lot of the Patreon pods on morning runs to help me through, and I recently ran my first half marathon, so cheers for all the content. Congratulations, Bill, on smashing it on the half marathon, mate. I can barely run for a bus these days, so very well done, mate. And if we've helped you in any way, I'm very pleased about that. What Billy wants to say next is, if you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. Shakamura says, morning, James, hope you're well. Could you give me 2 defenders for 9 million? Could I give you 2 defenders for 9 million? I was tempted to say Sepp van den Berg, but then there's not maybe another one I'd want at 5. Yeah, maybe there is. Sepp van den Berg and Destiny Doggy. Why not? Ian Everett says, happy Friday, James. Hope you're well. 2 free transfers. Saka to Salah and Havertz to Larson. Or Salah to Son/Palmer. Hang on. In one, you're buying Salah. In another, you're selling Salah. I'm going to presume you meant or Saka to Son Palmer. I'm going to have to assume that. And Trent to Vardiol. Cheers and have a great week, mate. Like and subscribe, people. I think that there might be some Trent regret in the next couple of weeks, is my opinion. It's just my opinion. It's not to say there will be. Once he goes, you might find that difficult to come back to. And I actually like the look of Liverpool's next 3 fixtures, actually. They're defending really well. If the attacking stuff comes with it, I get the appeal of Vardiol over the next few, and you could flip Trent Vardiol for a couple of weeks and go back. Is there enough gain in that? I mean, I don't think there is. I get the will to have Palmer, no doubt about it. And that does feel the biggest influence here. You won't go Salah to Palmer in 12. You won't. Not with Salah playing Southampton. And it does feel like a priority to get him in, I think. So I'm going to say the Palmer route, mate. I don't think Vardyol's even a guaranteed to start tomorrow. To add that. To go back to Rhino's question about will Pep be true to his word on Wednesday? Yeah, but I think it's more the point, like I said, players won't play all 3 games, I don't think. So, again, like if anybody does play tomorrow and then plays on Wednesday, I think they're a concern for next Saturday at Bournemouth, to preempt that now. I'm sure Vardy probably does play tomorrow, but in reality, it is Southampton at home. Could Pep go, this is a good time for me to give Nathan Ake some minutes? Like, would you be that shocked? Vardy will be in my predicted City team, but would you be that shocked if it happens? I don't know, but yeah, Palmer does feel like the priority. So maybe there's an influence here on your bench as well. Also, be careful not to cut off your Arsenal players, because again, if you go down the Salah route, you're not going to go Salah to Palmer, you ain't going to go Salah to Saka either. So, and then what, in 13? Yeah, you could do, but it don't feel so great, does it? Palmer's playing Villa, Saka's got West Ham away. You feel like you've just missed 2 great ones. I think the right answer is Palmer, mate. Go get him in. It's probably the right route for you. Hendrick03 says, hi James, I could stretch to Son, but is he really worth it over Johnson? Longer term value wise, probably not. Here's the thing, there's an influence for me now in that currently, if I don't buy Heung-min Son, I probably am captain Dominic Solanke in game week 11. Now right now that doesn't feel hugely comfortable. I'm quite happy having Dom sitting there for the next few weeks, but unless I see more in front of goal over the next 3 weeks, like I saw in say game week 5 and 6, then I'm probably moving him on in game week 12, and I'd captain Son in 11 over him if I got him. So there's that influence. Now if you're sitting there with Haaland, then yeah, I think it's a case to say Johnson, but also Son does hold quite nicely to reinvest in Bukayo Saka in game week 12. So I think your structure is quite relevant here. In terms of the value overall, what I think with Johnson is I think he'll tick over and he'll get returns. Son has clearly got more explosiveness. So if there's a captaincy relevance, yeah, go Sonny. Matthew Archer says, morning James, how do you evaluate Havertz as an option without Saka? I always had an eye on Havertz to Cunha around these game weeks, and I'm considering doing it today. I think, Brighton are 6th and doing well. They've improved a lot defensively. We've even seen them go quite deep once they got in front against Tottenham, and they did the same at Newcastle last weekend. So there's a little bit of evolving from some of the madness against Chelsea, for example. Yeah, I probably wouldn't go Havertz to Cunha this week. Next week, I could absolutely see the temptation in that. I'd probably keep at the moment, would be my take. And again, Matthew, I can only share what my opinion is at the moment, but the information seems to suggest that Saka trained on Wednesday. So as it stands, Arteta ain't going to tell you, but as it stands, I think Saka will play on Sunday. Francis Logan asked about Eze. I'm going to skip that because someone asked a little while ago. Oh gosh, lost my place in the questions. Sorry, that's terrible for the audio. What have I done here? That's gone badly wrong. Sorry. Where was I? Okay, Murphy. Sorry. By the way, guys, I'm only going to cover this up to sort of like 10:20. So if you haven't submitted a question yet, there's no chance of me getting to you. Murphy says, would you still play double Arsenal defence given Liverpool's form and Arsenal's absentees? My other option is Mikalenko starting over Gabriel. No. Play the Arsenal guys. I could play Wout fast this week. I'd realise Leicester probably not as favourable as Everton. But there's no consideration to play Wout fast over Gabriel or Trent Alexander-Arnold this week. As I said, I think the game will be low scoring. Frankie says, James, do you give any oxygen to the discussion? Ange might not be the right man for Spurs. He's bringing exciting football but can be costly. Nope. People are entitled to their opinions. It's obviously one that I disagree with. It may well hit the point where he's not going to be the right man. This isn't a discussion point right now, mate. We've won 7 of the last 8 games. Almost Seco says, morning James, Semenyo, Rogers, Raul Jimenez, Gabriel Vandenberg in the benching dilemmas today. I'll probably throw them all in. Yeah, I'd play Gabriel over Vandenberg despite the fixture. Yeah, trusting they're a good defence, and I know they have injury issues. Rodgers, Jimenez, Semenyo, probably that order, I guess. I haven't thought about it yet. Andre Gallia says, morning James, what a talent you've got in Mikey Moore there. Do you think he will start featuring in the Prem? Was it too soon for his development considering he's so young? Yeah, I'm going to skip it because I kind of covered earlier and factoring Wilson Odebear's back as well. But yeah, we're all very excited about Mikey. G07 said, good morning James, hope you're well. If you had enough money to go Palmer from Saka, would you do that this week or do Son Salah over the next 2 weeks and then to Palmer in 12? I think I would just be going Palmer, mate. Rami says, who do you think will win Arsenal v Liverpool? What do you think will get the win for each team? So I think I'd recommend listening to what Clayton said on the Clayton and James show on Wednesday about his concern about Shakhtar playing through the lines quite easily, and if Liverpool could repeat that, they would be in massive trouble. I think the biggest thing for Arsenal is what the team news is. If there's more players available than we're anticipating, then you still Arsenal at the Emirates and they're very strong. So I think the team news is what's most important for Arsenal. For Liverpool, how they can damage Arsenal, what Clayton has laid out. So it's that. If you ask me for a prediction at this moment, before the team news, I'm going to say to you 1-1. FPL Sparta says, alright, hello mate, hope you're well. Horia says, hi James, Wood or Jimenez for the next 2 to 3 weeks? So Wood is Leicester away, West Ham at home, Newcastle at home. Jimenez is Everton away, Brentford at home, Crystal Palace away. Just factor in, I don't know if you'd want to sell Jimenez in 12 before Wolves at home. It'll be easier to sell Chris Wood in 12 with Arsenal away. So I'm going to say Chris Wood, mate. Eddie R says, morning James, which two would you start at? Gabriel, Trent, and Van der Berg? You already know the answer, don't need to answer it. Feels odd benching either Trent or Gabriel. Would bringing in 8 Norrie this week change your decision at all? No. Play in most scenarios. I would play Gabriel and Trent Alexander-Arnold, not at the expense of like attacking players like Rodgers, for example, but at the expense of defenders. Yeah, in most cases, yeah. I would just play them. Trust it. Get on with it. Gabriel scored at Anfield last year. Trent assisted at the Emirates in the FA Cup. Just play them. JP says Saka for Foden or Trent for Vardiol. I covered the kind of Trent for Vardiol piece. Saka to Foden. As it stands at the time of recording, I can't really think of a good reason why Phil Foden won't start tomorrow. But I also said the same this time last week. But yeah, out of that, personally, I'd be going Saka to Foden. But very short-term thinking. Frankie says, FPL question, do you prefer getting Son now or Johnson now and work towards Salah in game week 11? I'm going to assume you mean game week 12. Because you're not selling Son or Johnson in game week 11 at home to Ipswich, mate. So, yeah, Sonny because of the 2 home games. FPL Dunn says, hi James, play one of Semenyo, Cunha or Mikalenko. Probably Semenyo, I think, probably. Billy Taylor, apologies for the FPL question. It's largely an FPL show, Billy. Would you rather go Saka, Gabriel to Salah, Anderson for 2 free transfers, or just go Saka to Son? I won't need Anderson this week. Thank you for clarifying, because obviously Joachim Anderson is suspended for Fulham this week. Again, do you want to captain Salah in 10, for example, Billy, if you don't have Haaland? I think probably just Sonny. Actually, I think I've come at peace. One of my options was, and I can do this, Jota to Garnacho, Saka to Salah. I can do it. The reason I'm not going to do it is more because of the forward that I want to buy. If I go Salah, I've got to stay at the range of Jamie Vardy. And it would inevitably be me buying Strand Larsen, I think, in the next couple of weeks. And that's okay. It's not necessarily a bad play. But I want to get Nicholas Jackson in. And if I go the Sun route, I can do that now. And that's likely my intention as it stands. So I'm on a different strategy to many, Billy. For me to say to you, who scores more over the next 3 weeks? We're saying Salah or Sonny. Possibly Mo. possibly my own, and you can come back. So the safer advice might be Salah, but I definitely think Son captain 11 if you're a non-Haaland owner. Jacob Nitmar says, morning James, have a defender dilemma. Start 3 between Gabriel, Robertson, Lewis and Dean. Cheers. Yeah, the players from... I mean, you're not leaving out Rico Lewis this week, are you? That's one you definitely would pick over Gabriel and Trent. Vardy would also fall into that line. So, yeah, I'm going to leave out Luca Dean, mate, from that. Liam Doyle says, good morning, James. Hope you're well. Would transfer Saka to Son or Foden this way? I'm going to skip Liam because I think I've covered this kind of topic by now. Josh Tellin says, morning, James. Need to bench one of Calvert-Lewin, Smith-Rowe and Semenyo. Interested to hear your thoughts. Thanks. Smith-Rowe, pretty quiet by all accounts last week against Villa. Calvert-Lewin, the underlying is good. I fancy Everton to potentially do well. Joachim Anderson suspended. And it's not a Champions League game, so I expect Bournemouth to score. Rami says, do you indulge in match day scran? Not so much. I did take Nico, because I took Nico to the game last night. I did take Nico to Chicken after the game. I think Nico was surprised by the volume of portions more than anything else. Shout out to Chicken on Tottenham High Road. In the ground, not so much, although I do like to have a sausage roll if they're available on away days. 1877 WWFC says, hi James, hope you're good. As a Wolves sufferer, start 8 Nori or Mikalenko. I would start Mikalenko personally. Philippa XYZ says, morning James, would you take a -4 to bring in Vissa for Duran? I mean, if you're intending to start Duran, I guess the answer is yes. But if you've got alternatives you can play, can't even be certain that Vissa starts, so it feels dangerous. But I also think that will pay for you in forthcoming weeks. So yeah, I'm going to say yeah. Dajit says, if you were stuck in a lift without any network and had the option between having Clayton or Suj in there, who would it be and why? Wow, what a question. Suj. Because he pays the wages, mate. So I need to keep him on side. If I pick Clayton now, he's going to be like, nah, fuck your pay rise, James. So I'm sorry, I need to keep Suj on side. So Suj. Plus, Suj isn't a gooner. So who wants to be stuck in a lift with a gooner? So yeah, actually, it's quite clearly Suj. Sorry, Clates. George Picarablo says, hello, James. Would you play Johnson at Palace or Rodgers versus Bournemouth this week? Johnson, I think, mate. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think my team might slip up on Sunday, actually. I can literally visualise the game that we're quite comfortable, go 1-0 up and let them get back in it. I can visualise that. I know we won 4-0 there a couple of years ago. We won 4-0 there and we weren't in a good moment, actually. We were in a poor run of form. And it was just an odd one. I think we scored 4 in the second half. It's normally always a tight game. Normally always, bar that one occasion. I can kind of visualise that. But, yeah, I still think Johnson. I think, yeah. Dermot Whelan says, hi James. Looking to move Saka, João Pedro and Jota to Foden, Bumo and Vissa. Thoughts? I mean, can't give you a reason not to, mate. Other than what I've already said on Foden is that I think it's a short-term purchase. Don't cut yourself off of... I can't see the value, obviously. Don't cut yourself off of moving Foden onto Son or Saka. That's all I'd say. Don't cut yourself off of either of those moves. Because there's a good chance you're going to want to do it. But on the face of it, Dermot, yeah, they're good moves, mate. Adrian Fruit says, Luis Diaz to either up to Foden, Son or down to Johnson. Have Palmer already? Nothing immediate to use money on. I hope, Adrian, from answers I've given to others, that you'll know the answer, mate. Cora says, hi James, what do you think of Semenyo to Gundo? Thanks. No consideration for Gundogan at the moment, mate. Q hat-trick tomorrow. Jansky says, morning, Ramsdale to Onana for -4 long term. Absolutely horrible Southampton defence. I would never take a hit for a goalkeeper if that goalkeeper was playing. Ever. Onana's not exactly got a great fixture this week away to West Ham, has he? Ramsdale could end up making 10 saves at City tomorrow and walk away with a 3-4 pointer. What do you need Onana to do tomorrow to make that worthwhile? I would never, ever take a hit for a goalkeeper if my goalkeeper is playing. Someone will catch me out for that one day, but I'm fairly certain I'll never do it. CM Punk 2310 says, hi James, bench one of 8 Nori, Semenyo and Gabriel, already own Raya. You're going to know the answer, mate. It's Raya and 8 Nori. Florentine P says, hi James, Gabriel and Foden to Palmer and 8 Nori next week. Thanks. You're obviously not going to sell Foden now. Next week, yeah, I don't mind that. You're going to want to move towards Palmer. It feels like you want to do it this week, but I get you're not going to go Foden to Palmer now. And yeah, realistically, 8 Nori's good run starts next week, I think. Reedy says, what's up, James? Keep up great content. No question. Really just a note to say nice one. But I guess Gabriel for double Arsenal or a more budget defender in his price. Robinson or Hall for me. Yeah, straightforward, mate. Sticking with Gabriel. Have a good weekend, pal. Stephen DeVelta says, hi, James. Semenyo to Bumo from -4. Lost a bit of faith in Semenyo with his wayward shooting. Yeah, I mean, look, Semenyo capable is all I'd add to that. But I would say, yes, you're going to look at your team going into the deadline tonight and feel a lot better with Bumo sitting there. And the good fixtures continue for Boomer up to 14, right? So, yeah, get him in. I mean, anybody who's asked a question is asking things like Johnson and stuff. And if, where's Boomer at Brentford? Just get Boomer in, honestly. Yeah, I would do it. JB says, I've already made 3 transfers for -4. Can I now to a free hit to cancel previous transfers? What will my game week 10 be? So, to clarify, if you've already made transfers this week and then activate the free hit, the transfers you've already made this week are irrelevant. The game will assume that any transfers you've made since the last deadline are part of your free hit play. So you will revert back to the exact team that you had at deadline last week. Plowboy says, what do you think, James? Captain Vardiol or Boomo? And that's a good place to end, I think, because unless Thomas Frank gives me some news today that's scary, which I'm not anticipating, I will be taking Haaland on with Brian Boomo this week. Okay, guys, thanks very much. For those who have not got 200 questions, I realise there's a lot of you in, so apologies. If you want to tag me on Twitter at Planet FPL Pod, please don't go into my DMs because I'm probably just going to ignore it because people think it's a gateway to ask me questions every week. My DMs are open for people if they have like things like mental health issues and want to discuss things like that. They want to reach out to me. That's fine. If you send me a screenshot of your team, go for it. So, do you know what? I'm the wrong person to ask. I'm not really going to look at it, particularly today when it's busy. So those who want to tag me on Twitter, if you tag me before sort of 2 p.m-ish today, I will get back to you in the next couple of hours. Beyond that, it's going to be too manic for me. Purely because I've got the team news stream for advanced tier patrons at 4 o'clock, and obviously the deadline stream is at 5:30 p.m. today on YouTube as well. I think just to end, guys, play it your way. Have a great weekend. Be nice to each other, and for the benefit of those on the audio, cue music, please, man. Show.